It is 2025 and you're still wearing bad braided wigs. I hear things like, oh, there's no such thing as a good braided wig. That's a big fat lie. If you want to see how I was able to achieve this flawless, completely glueless braided wig, then you want to stick around and watch this video from the very beginning to the very end so that you can learn and see the things that I did to achieve this look. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Thank you for always tuning in, my guys. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. You're so lucky you found the right channel to teach you all the basic needs as a girl for slaying your hair. So today I'm going to be making this glueless frontal braided wig using the curly extensions. The first thing that I'm going to do is I already bleached my frontal, so right now I'm trying to cut my frontal to fit my client's head. I've gone ahead to see the entire length of the frontal and it was showing 13 inches. My client's measurement was an 11, so it means I'm going to take off 1 inch each from each end of the frontal. I don't know if that's if I hope you understand what I mean. So yeah, it depends on your it depends on what you on the length of your client's head or on the length of whatever you're doing. So you just take out like 1 inch or 2 inch depending on what the measurement is. Like I said, guys, depending on what the measurement is, you're going to cut that part out. For my client it was 11. If she was 12, I'll take 1/2 inch out of every of each end, but she sent me an 11 measurement, so I'm taking out 1 inch out from each side. If she was 10, I would have taken out 1.5. You get what I mean? So yeah, I've marked that so you to make it easy for you so that you know that you're doing the right thing and you're not cutting it wrongly, because things can really go bad here, guys, because you can do a mistake, you can overcut. Yes, there's a thing that's overcutting your frontal and then it doesn't stay ear to ear for your clients again. That means you've ruined it. And if you do not want to do that, you want to make sure that you get the accurate measurement and then you mark it out with a chalk or a marker or something that just shows it. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just carefully and gently looking at the area and patting the air out of there so I don't make any mistakes, and I'm just going to cut that part out from the rest of the frontal. What I've done here, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Remember, I've marked it out. You want to use your cotton comb, your tail comb, your rat tail comb, anything that is sharp enough that you know that is going to give you that sharp cut at the edge. Yes, guys, that's what you want to do. You want to cut it out and then use your scissors to cut out the excess parts that you should not need. So this is the excess parts. This is what it looks like. Both of them, they're useless. I don't know, but yeah, this is what the frontal looks like, and that is the right size for my client. So what I like to do is these wig caps, they come big and I want something that's really fitted. So what I do is after putting on the mannequin here, I just try to resize it. You see what I did? Just to like shrink it so that it fits the I already measured and I already know what I want to do. Just so that it fits the head and it holds tight to the head. So after I've done that, you see what I did there was I found the center of the frontal and I've given myself I just like a little bit of cut. I just cut something little out just to know where the center is, and I'm just placing it. Mind you, you want to shift your frontal like 1 inch forward from the cap, of 1 inch away from the start of the cap. You don't want the frontal to start exactly where you don't want the front hairline of the frontal to start exactly where the cap starts. So you want to shift it slightly forward, and this is what it's looking like when you do it. We need our ear tabs. Remember, we need our ear tabs. We need it to sit right on our ear. We're not trying to make an old 1960s wig, guys. This is 2025 and I feel like everybody should make frontal wig the right way. So yeah, I'm just doing that, making sure that my frontal is glueless, because trust me, no matter what you say, oh, it's just braids, no, because it's just braids doesn't mean that you shouldn't place your frontal rightly, because usually everything boils down to the foundation. When you get a good foundation, then the rest of your work is so easy. So after I've made sure that I've placed it right and I'm satisfied, you want to go back in. If you feel like you're not satisfied or it's not equal, you want to check each ear side and making sure that they look the same. So after I was done doing that, it's time to stitch. So I'm just going to stitch my frontal onto the mesh cap, guys. Every time I say this, I say this all the time. I always use a mesh cap. I prefer to use a mesh cap because it's breathable. It's just really nice as opposed to the dome cap. They are very, I don't know, it's just so thick and it looks like clothes. It's like tying a scarf on your head, or part of that put braids. It just looks like a lot of work for me. So I recommend, if you ask me for my recommendations, I will tell you that always use a mesh cap, and that's what I'm using. That's what I will always use, and I come here every time to tell people that always use a mesh cap. So I'm sewing the frontal onto the cap. You see what I'm doing here? When I get to that end, I go back again. I do like 2 stitches on that ear side, just because we've cut out that thick area of this, and it's just a very flimsy net. So you just want to make sure that it's really secure on the mesh cap, and you don't want it to be tearing, you don't want it to be pulling. I just need it to stay very well. So I do the stitches there twice or thrice, really depending on how I'm feeling. I think I did twice here. Twice is just enough. You can do it twice, you can do it thrice. So after I've cut that thread out, you want to go back in and just tie it. Make sure that you secure it and it's not going anywhere. It's not going to unravel, it's not going to loosen, it's just going to stay how you want it to stay. So after I've done that side, I'm going to come to the other side. I always like to start from the middle, so that way you're able to control what you're doing. You start from the middle of the frontal to the one end, go back to the middle and sew it back to the other end. That's just the best way to make sure that your frontal is sitting flat on the mesh cap and it's not going anywhere. And when you wear it, it's going to fit you nicely. So yeah, I'm just basically stitching the frontal onto the cap, and I was done here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the excess. The Yoruba in me is really coming out. Sorry guys, I'm just going to cut out the excess mesh cap from under the frontal. We do not need that area. We need the frontal to be able to shine on its own. So I'm cutting out that area. You see how it's well rounded. So yeah, I'm going to go back to wearing the mesh cap and the frontal back on the canvas head, and now it is time to start the work of the day, braiding. Now these extensions are so tricky. The curly extensions, you can mess them up real quick. It's so easy to mess up. So I always advise that make sure that you oil it very well. Your normal Soulmate hair cream, any shiny hair cream is just fine. Just make sure that you oil it very well. Apply your hair cream. Make sure that your palms are oiled. Your palms are not dry. They need to be oiled. That's how because this extension, like I said, it doesn't need dryness. It doesn't work well with dryness at all. So everything must be oiled. The extension must be oiled. Your hands must be, just make sure to do that. So what I do is I will crochet a small part of the extension onto the mesh cap, like as a foundation, mimicking our own hair. Then I'll go in and take another what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember. But just take something else, take more extension, and then start braiding. So I'm just going to braid like you would your normal head. Maybe I'm going to do a video showing people how to. I want to think that everybody knows how to braid, right? Or are there still some people who, I feel like everybody who is interested in the hair, in learning how to make hair, I feel like basically everybody, well, we'll get back to that. So for this, I know in the past I've said that, I don't tie them, but for this wig, I decided let's just tie them. You see how neatly I tied it? Yep. Anything I do correct. I don't do, yeah, I always come correct, guys. I always come correct. You see how even when I tied it, it looks really nice. There was no bump, or it wasn't rough, or you get what I mean? So yes. So I'm going back to the second one. I'm doing the same thing. I've already crocheted some hair inside of the mesh cap, and I'm just going with more extension and just weaving and weaving and weaving and weaving. Maybe I'm going to do a video tutorial. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to do a tutorial on how to braid. I'm tying the ends here. I'm just tying. Some people use glue, I've seen, but yeah, I'm not using glue. I'm just tying here. Nothing serious. So I wanted to show you up close what it looks like. I'm using the tiniest, I think this is the tiniest crochet pin. I don't know if there's anything tinier than this, but this has to be the tiniest one on the market, especially in Nigeria. Yeah, I think, especially in Nigeria, wherever you're watching me from. I don't know, but for Nigeria, I'm very sure that this is the tiniest crochet pin. I'm using the tiniest. It's more gentle. it doesn't rip the mesh cap, because the mesh cap is tender. You have to be gentle with it, and then you don't go in. And because I'm actually crocheting very tiny strand of hair into the hole, so you don't need a big crochet pin, so the tiny one is just fine. So I'm just showing you what I need to do. You see, the next line, you don't go up. I always preach this. When I'm doing the next line at the top, I never ever go on top of one braid under. I always go in the middle of two braids under. Do you get what I mean? After you've gone, you want to follow line by use. It's just foundation, guys. You want to follow line by line. After you've crocheted on those lines, you want to, the next line you're going to, you want to make sure that it falls in between two braids under, not on top of, we're not doing a straight line and another braid on top is falling on top of a braid under. No, it has to be in between two braids under. That way, you're covering all the holes that can show, because I mean, we're crocheting, we don't want it to be too full. We're just making sure we're eyeballing it and making sure that it's not too full, so that it doesn't get too heavy. On another hand, on the same note, we do not want it to be scanty and people can see that we're wearing a wig and they can see the mesh cap under. So we want to just keep everything covered. We want to keep it all covered. So this is a technique for you to always make sure that the cap gets covered. When you get to the top, when you're going up, you always make sure that you braid in between two braids under. So guys, I went away from the camera because I had to. It was just a lot of work, and doing it in camera wasn't so easy. So, but everything I've explained before when I was doing those 3 strands braid is what I've done. Oh, it's what I've done all the way. So this is what it looks like now. This is where I'm at now. I braided so much, and I made sure that I followed the guideline. You see how you can still see it. See, I'm raising it up to show you that I kept going in between. When I go up, I kept going in between two braids down. When you go up, make sure, always remember, when you go up, make sure to braid, make sure to crochet in the middle of two braids under. That's the only way. You see how the mesh cap is well covered. We're not seeing what is under, even though it's a wig, but we're not going to be able to guess. That's because we've evenly distributed the braids, and it's just covering the entire cap. So I just decided to do this last braid on camera to just show you guys how I've been doing it. Nothing serious. It's just what I explained from the beginning. I'm crocheting a small section of hair, little strand of hair into the mesh cap after I've crocheted, and I'm going to take another section of hair and then braid. So the one I'm crocheting there is standing as our own natural hair. Do you understand? So yeah, I'm just braiding and braiding and braiding and braiding. So you just want to braid until you get to the end, and then you tie. So yeah, just braiding to the very end, and then I'm going to tie it as I've been doing, and this is what it looks like. Now I'm done with the mesh cap. I'm done with all of that. Now let's move to the area where I know everybody's interested in, the frontal area. Now I put it in corridor so it doesn't disturb me while I was braiding the mesh cap. So now this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. What I like to do when it comes to the frontal, please close attention to what I'm saying. So what I like to do is I like to section like 3 rows. I've asked this question before. I know some people are going to insult me. I'm insulting myself. I still do not know for the life of me the difference between a row and a column. So let's say row. Let's call it a row. So yeah, I like to section 3 rows at the back. 3 from the frontal. You see how I'm sectioning it? I'm going to section out 3 whole rows. Yeah, 3 lines. Let's use 3 lines. Yeah, I'm going to section 3 lines out of the back. I'm just weaving it so that it's a so it's just I'm able to differentiate each row from the other. So I'm just going to braid it. I did 3 at the back. So when I've done 3 at the back, I'm coming to the front to section the front area too, and I want to have 2 equal halves. You remember that we cut the frontal in the beginning just to be able to give ourselves a guideline of the center of the frontal. Yeah, you want to follow that line and cut a clean part to section both areas to make it into 2 equal halves. So I've done that, and I'm just like really checking to make sure that I'm using my braiding gel to make sure that it's really straight and it's in the middle, and because this can go really wrong. You see how I'm checking it, making sure that it's right in the center. They're two equal halves. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So after I've done that, another thing I like to do is I like to just lightly, nothing serious. There's no heavy plucking here. Just lightly pluck. You know, frontals usually come like when they ventilate it's usually like a straight line. I just really have the urge to get rid of the straight line, so it just looks really natural when you wear your wig. So I'm just lightly, like I said, guys, just light plucking, nothing serious. You just want to pluck it very lightly. So I'm going to pluck both sides, the left and the right that I've sectioned. Just pluck them and make sure that I like what I see. You see how light it looks? Nothing serious. I wasn't heavy-handed. So the next thing I want to start doing, I want to start sectioning out the front part. And you just want to do really fine lines, equal parts. Make sure, just be very, pay close attention to what you're sectioning to make sure that you're sectioning it right and it's the same, it's of the same size, even though we might technically not get the same size, but make sure they're as close as possible. Like, make sure they always look alike. They're twins, but not cousins. I don't know. You get what I mean? Yeah. So this is what it looks like. So I'm going to cornrow everything like this on one side, on each side. You know, I've cut into two sides. I'm going to cornrow them like this just to give myself a guideline. This makes the work so easy. This way, you don't do too much. You just know what you're doing. You know what you're working with, and you just go cornrow by cornrow. So I'm just going to cornrow everything down. And this is what it looks like when I was done. I was on cornrowing both sides. And I think I did like 9 on each side. Yeah, I did 9. Yeah, so we're going to have 9 on each side of the center parts. That's 9 here and 9 here, and 3 at the back. You see, guys, 3 at the back, 9 in front on one side, 9 on the other side. Now, the next thing I want to do is I've taken out one cornrow. Remember, we did 3, so I'm taking out the first one, and I'm just slightly shaving the hair. It was too long. I didn't need anything too long, so just like really trimming it to make sure that it's not so long. I'm braiding on it, so I don't really need the length. I just trimmed it a little bit, and then I'm going to start braiding. Now the braid we're going to do here is we're going to feed them in. We're going to do a knotless braid. This wig is a knotless braid. Just want you know how to do your knotless braid. You first start braiding with the head, and you start feeding in your extensions little by little, guys. Remember, we want to follow the same size of what we did on the mesh cap. So you just want to go little by little to feed in your knotless braids and make sure that it's not too big and it's not too small. Make sure that the sides are actually proportionate to what you've done on the mesh cap. When you need to add, you add, but nothing serious, just very little, just really little adding, and you understand. So yeah, you just want to cornrow it, you want to braid it. Yeah, just braid it till you get to the very end. What we'll be doing since how we've been braiding, normal braiding process. So after I was done braiding that, you want to section another part, just real key, just cut it, just cut. You see how I'm going from one end to the other? You just want to work your way towards the other end of the line that we parted earlier at the back, and you just want to braid on it, feed in your extensions. It's a knotless braid like I explained earlier. That's what we're going to just do. I'm just going to braid, and like I said, always remember this extension is really, it can get bad really easily, so you want to be very careful and you want to take care of it. So guys, if you've watched up to this moment and you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, now is the time to subscribe. Click the subscribe button, turn on post notification for when I drop, so that you'll be notified when I drop a new post. Like, comment, share to somebody who you think might be interested in my video, because they're gonna learn a lot on this channel. This channel is, I'm dishing out industry secrets, guys. So yeah, I'm done with the back, and this is what I did, the 3 rows at the back, and this is what it looks like. You see how beautiful it is. You see how it's covering the mesh cap, nothing is showing. Now we've come to the front. I'm going to start from one end to the other. For this one, I think I'm going to section them into 2. Yeah, 2 is just enough, the ear parts, and I'm just going to give it a slight brush, just a slight brush, so that it looks natural. Still the same knotless braids, fitting in my curly extensions, and just being very careful while doing it. I'm showing you how I'm doing it. And these extensions are so funny because they're actually very slippery. They're actually very slippery because of the texture. It's a very silky textured extensions, so they get slippery when you're holding them. So, and remember that you already have our palms all, the extensions to are also, it can really get really slippery. So you want to actually be firm in your grasp. When you hold it, you want to actually be firm and make sure that they're not going anywhere, because so that you don't ruin it or you don't do ugly braids and stuff. So yeah, I'm just braiding it to the end. You don't want to, nothing, no tight braids. Loose braids are actually the finest. You just want to go in loosely, don't tighten your hand. Don't do anything too serious. Don't do anything too serious, guys. Just do it like normally. So I'm tying, I'll braid and tie like I've been doing since morning with the other ones. So you want to do the same thing, and then we'll come to the second one too and braid it same way we braided the first one and every other one where we've braided. Just feeding. It's a knotless braid, so we're feeding it in, guys. This is another reminder that if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? You're missing all of the things that I'm teaching you on this channel. Why haven't you subscribed to my channel? And guys, do not only subscribe, turn on your post notifications so that you'll be notified every single time that I drop a new video. Because over here, I'm dropping videos to teach you all the basic, like every girl needs, all the basic needs of a girl when it comes to slaying their own hairs, how they can look really good. And you know that your hair, I mean, when people look at you, I feel like your hair is the first contact, even before your eyes, I think, because I look at your hair first. So I'm sure everybody, other person too, does that. Like, and your hair can actually really elevate your look. You don't even need to have makeup on if you have good hair. Everybody can testify to it that hair is good skincare. I've heard it a couple of times. Once your hair is laid and looking so nice, your face is just really beautiful all of a sudden, and you just really look good. It's almost like you're shiny, like you're using one Korean skincare, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm going to be teaching girls tips and tricks of how they can slay their hair and how they can look good all the time, how they can be a 10 over 10. Let me borrow the slang from Big Brother Nigeria that's going on right now. How they can always look a 10, how you're going to always be a 10 over 10 when you step out. So yeah, I'm just doing on this line. I did 3 on that line. Yeah, so I was done braiding this side, and this is what it looked like. Can you guys see it? This is what it looked like. Even braids, beautiful braids, guys, beautiful braids. They look really nice. This is what it looked like. And so now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing that I've done on this side onto the other side of that area that it's just basically the same thing that I did. That's why I said guideline. So once you have your guideline, every other thing becomes easy. I made the work easy for myself by creating a guideline for myself, and I'm just going into it and doing what I have to do. So yeah, just feeding knotless braids as we've been doing. Nothing changed, guys. Just do the same thing and do it right. Yep, do the same thing and do it right. Braid till the end, not the end. You know, the extension is supposed to be, you're supposed to have like curly ends, so you just braid it to a little almost the end so that they can bounce and you tie it. And now this is what it looked like when I was done. Okay, I wasn't done, but I think I left one strand just to braid on the camera. So yeah, I'm just going to do this last one on the camera. Same thing I've been doing. Just going to braid it and have my wig ready. I want you guys to look at the back of it. Did you see how everything has covered the mesh cap and we cannot even see what is under? We don't know what is under. This is the look you should be going for when you're making your own frontal braided wig. We shouldn't see what is under. Everything should be well covered. Everything should be evenly distributed. Always remember, the next braid on top should be in between 2 braids under. If you do that, you're going to have this kind of flawless look. No net cap is going to be showing on top. It won't be too full. It won't be heavy. It won't be bulky. At the same time, it will not be scanty. It will look just perfect. It will look just nice, just about right. So yeah, that's just what it is. And yeah, we're going to braid this to the area of the curls, just like to almost the end. Then we're going to tie it, and then just drop it, and that's the entire wig, guys. That's just the whole wig. This is it. I think I spent 3 days on. I was in between doing other things too. I think, did I do 3 or 4 days? I was doing a lot at the same time with this wig, but each time I made sure that I did something. And that was why I couldn't be on the camera all the time showing you how I was doing it every step of the way. So yeah, I think I did 3 days or 2 days, depending on how serious you are or how very dedicated to it you are. You can do it in 2 days or one day, just depending on your the time that you give to it. I think I used 4 days, and like I said, it was because I was really in between a lot of things. Next thing I want to do is I want to start trimming. Yes, you're going to trim, guys, as you would your own. If you made hair on your own natural hair, we need to trim. So I'm going to take it strand by strand, but I only concentrated on the frontal part because I didn't need to trim the back. The back was neat. There was nothing sticking out of the back, so I just needed to concentrate on the frontal side and just trim out the hairs on the frontal out of the braid, so it looks really nice and neat. So yeah, it's just the normal regular trimming. When you're trimming your own natural hair, that's what you're doing, and you just trim it nice just to make sure that it looks really nice and it looks neat. I mean, you've done the braids, but do not let little hair strands. You see how I just use my hand to push it up? I push the braid up. This way, it helps me to separate the excess the hair on the frontal from the actual braids. So that's how I make it easy for myself. So yeah, you don't want to do fine braids, but then again, it's so rough because you haven't trimmed. No, we don't want that. You have to pay really close attention and make sure that you trim it very well. And after I was done trimming, I went ahead and sewed a band to the frontal. You see my band placement. This is the only right way to place your band. I'm going to do another detailed tutorial on showing you guys how to actually place a band to a frontal. I'm just basically placing the band here. I like to use the band that is adjustable, so it helps my clients when she feels like it's too tight or it's too loose. She can adjust it to her own preferred tightness. So yeah, I'm just sewing the adjustable band to the frontal area to make sure that it stays secure, even though she doesn't really need it. But then again, a band sometimes is just like really needed to just seal up the whole thing that you've done. So yeah, I'm just sewing a band to the frontal, making sure that it's in place and making sure that it's looking really nice. And this is me. I'm done sewing the band. I'm just showing you can adjust it, showing you how tight and how nice it looks, and it's not going to rip the frontal. And this is what the wig looks like, guys. When we were done, it was so beautiful. And you can play with styling. You can style at the center part. You can style at the side part. You can even pack some up or pack all to the back. It really depends on how you're feeling. And we've come to the end of this video. I'm hoping and I'm sure that you learned a lot from this video. And I'm really hoping that you make a wig for yourself. And I would really love to see how well that you did that. So guys, until my next video. Bye.